No? You know them all?
I think so, yeah.
Do you know what all these cards are, Metzger? You see all these?
Leads.
These are all daily phone calls. You got to have systems. I don't know that this is the right one, but those are all.
Hey, it doesn't matter.
No.
Because it's a system.
That's right. But there's 30 days of calls there.
Dude, Perry loves playing with the lights. And it brings these shadows down.
Dude, it's not the light, man. I'm just getting old, brother. You're getting old.
Getting old.
That's right. Speaking of lights, the light in here is horrible.
I would agree with that, yeah.
We set the tone so parents feel calm and want to enroll their children. Yeah, hey, listen, shout out to my daughter yesterday, man. That was something else. She had a Spanish-speaking mom, and so I pulled my daughter, and she was freaking out at first. She goes, "Dad, I'm not even taking Spanish right now," she says, and sat and listened to a completely fluent conversation explaining our Black Book Club program. It was amazing, and they of course enrolled in the Black Book Club program. It was really, really cool to see. Yeah. As a dad, it was cool to see.
Were you sitting there, or did you sit on?
Yeah,
you were sitting.
No, I was right next to her watching it. Yeah, listening, because I couldn't participate because I didn't know what they were talking about.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great.
That's terrific. So, what else is new? What else is happening?
I think sometimes we need things to happen in our lives to realize that we were maybe stuck and we need to move forward. And I think one of the biggest things I've been guilty of, and I said this to you a couple of days ago, I just feel like the energy with the team is like really, really good right now. But it's designed and it's done on purpose. And I think sometimes we can get careful, or we have to be careful, I should say. Sometimes we forget when we come into the martial arts school and we're talking about all the things that need to be done or weren't done, and we get on this negative track. And for an employee, for a staff member, team member, whatever you want to call it, right? That becomes not a very fun place to work. And so I've been very intentional about celebrating victories and about the energy that we have in our school. I'm also very intentional, like in the next breath, I'll say, I'm also very intentional about doing those things, but also them knowing that, hey, it's all about results. I want to have a lot of fun and we want to have a great time, and we can absolutely do that. But we just all need to get results. Fun without the results doesn't work. So we have to have fun, and we also have to get the results. But when you're intentional, and I've tried this before, and I don't know, I just seem like I've failed at it before. But when you're intentional about creating that good energy, it's amazing what it will do for the team. Amazing.
Yep, for sure. Well, yeah, guys. Hey, hello, everybody. Let's just say hi to everybody. Mr. Brewer, Mr. Munding, Miss Angeliri, Mr. Jackson, Miss Geely, Mr. Birch. Put in your names or put in your hello so we can see who's out there, because this is an interesting topic. So Shelby had posted, well, she had posted under my name. So it looks like my post, which was single school or multiple schools. Mr. Levy, Mr. Schwartz.
Happy birthday, Mr. Schwartz. I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday.
Happy birthday. If it was your birthday today, yesterday. But, there was a lot of interesting comments and opinions and thoughts. And, I wish a lot of these people would tune in right now. Because, we like to address these opinions and thoughts.
He's being polite. These naysayers.
Well, it's not that. So listen, at the end of the day, here we go. Single school or multiple schools. People gave their opinion on on single or multiple, but not everyone gave their opinion on why or why not. Why only a single school? Why multiple schools? Why not multiple schools? Why not just a single school? And
Matt, you know what I would love to know is if somebody out of all the this is a question that I know that you don't know the answer to, but I think we probably do. Out of all the people that said, single school, if you're a single school owner, how would you know whether it's single or multiple if you've never had multiple locations before?
I do know the answer.
I know you do. And the majority are going to say single if they're single because they don't know any different because they've never had multiple schools. You have to, I think you need to understand, and maybe you have to have a real deep understanding if you have a single school, or you've had to live the multiple school world to be able to share that opinion.
So, you know what? Let's do this without reading names. I mean, this is all public. It's on the post. Anyone can go to the post and look at the comments. But let's read them and let's address some of these things, and then let's talk about the experience, and let's help everybody here find their path, whatever that is. Because, by the way, it's not wrong if you want to be a single school owner, and it's not wrong if you want to be a multiple school owner, right? But the reasons on why you choose one over there could be wrong. That's the thing, right? So we asked single school or multiple schools, why or why not? Somebody posted one word, single. Well, you just addressed that. Well, why? Why single, right? But let's keep going down, and this will open up conversation. So Mr. Bolton, I'm currently single but working towards growing to multiple schools. That's why I listen to you guys. Yeah, if that's the path you want to go on, that's fine. Here's another one. I have 3 and looking to expand. Okay. Somebody says no one size fits all answer. Ask Greg Silva coaching. This is his gig. Greg Silva is very knowledgeable, right? But Greg Silva won't be able to tell a group of people whether they should be a single school owner or multiple. He will just tell you the pros and the cons and ask the right questions to see which direction you should go to, or if you want to be a multiple school, tell you how to do it. But let's just see. All depends on what your goals are. We have 4. We'll be seeking to make a 5th. BU for you, you have to take into account many factors, decide what works best for you, what your market will bear, and how much time do you want to commit to your business, to name a couple. Not sure if attending multiple schools at the same time is feasible for most, but I do support exploring other disciplines to become a more rounded martial artist, which I don't think that has to do with being a single or a multiple. Right. I think you should train different disciplines anyway, whether you're a single school owner or not. All depends on your version of success. Don't let others tell you what that means to you. 100% agree. It just depends on one's vision. Sometimes, and I'll open it up, it doesn't depend on your vision. Sometimes it doesn't depend on your vision, guys and ladies. Listen, the biggest reason why I am a multiple school owner is not because I had a vision of having multiple schools. It's because I feel, like a lot of you, I did an extraordinarily good job at building up kids that have trained with me as students for 10, 11, 12, 13 years, 14 years. Then I gave them a little part-time opportunity through high school where they were assisting, and then they made a decision. I would love to do this as a career. I'd love to do this full-time. Is there an opportunity for me? And I had 3 high-level people in their 20s at the time, and this is, 20 years ago, but that were with me from kids, but in their 20s, all under one roof, and they were all high-level martial. And when I say high-level martial artists, world-class martial artists in what we do in NASCA, right? In, competing on stage at the biggest open tournaments in the world, right? And sponsored and world champions. And they wanted to teach, and they were exceptional. The problem was I couldn't support all 3 of them in one school. So I had to go to 3 schools. You get a school, and you could stay here and be a chief at this school.
It's like an Oprah show.
Right. You get a school. You get a school. You get a school. That's right. Oprah only gives away cars. I give martial arts schools. But if I did not do that, by the way, they wouldn't be with me today. And they are still with me today. And Mr. Peterman, for example, has been with me for, I think he celebrated his 27th year, 27 years working for me, right? And David Rodriguez is, I don't know what he's at, 24 years, 23 years. You know, my point is they wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be here today if I didn't give them that opportunity. So it wasn't necessarily at the time about my vision. It was about, I have some great people here that I love working with that I can really help, but they can also help me, but I can't afford them under one roof. What am I going to do? I got to open up more schools to give them an opportunity. And that's how we started going down the track. Now, Tass, why don't you tell your story too? Because so people understand, there's other people here saying, it's like, oh, I'm stressed out enough with one school. You know, I couldn't imagine running multiple schools. When would somebody know, even if they want to be a multiple school owner, that they're ready to be a multiple school owner? And by the way, your story of you talking to me for 2 years about opening a second school, and I kept saying no. And so what's the story? What have you learned?
Yeah, listen, I think everybody knows the right answer, right? And the right answer is, well, we open a second location to provide opportunities for our juniors. Like, I think we've maybe rehearsed that answer in our head. Some of us believe it. Some of us, that is the real answer. But some of us kind of use that maybe even as a facade, because the real answer is, you know, maybe sometimes, not the real answer. Sometimes the real answer is it's ego. Sometimes the real answer is we think we're going to make more money when we have 2 schools versus 1. And, you know, but we use that to say, hey, look, I want to provide opportunities for my juniors. So yes, and the reason I can say that is because at the time, I think there was part of it was ego, and I wanted to have that second location just to say that I was able to do it and be a multi-school owner, right? Number one. Number two, I did see the money that was coming in, and I thought, man, if we could do this and duplicate this at another location, it'd be great. But for 2 years, I wanted to open a second location. You're like, no, not yet. And it got to be like a long time. And the reasons why is we weren't ready, even though I may have thought we were ready. And even when you're ready, things can happen, right? And so for us at the time, just to give you guys a snapshot in time, when we opened our second location, and by the way, I was not 100% sold on opening the second location. And this, and I'll make this quick, but there's a quick story in here too about leverage on getting a second location when you don't need necessarily a second location. But we had at the time 5 full-timers that were in this school. So I had like a full-time program director, almost 2 full-time program directors really, and then 3 full-time instructors. Well, my one instructor who was the assistant, he couldn't move to head instructor because we already had a head instructor. And people were starting to trip over themselves because it was too many kitchens or too many cooks in the kitchen, excuse me. And I think that's part of the challenge. But this school, I mean, we were killing it in the internal business systems. Retention rate was in the 3s, or attrition rate, was in the 3s, not retention. Attrition was in the 3s and 3 percentiles. And then and revenue was off the chart. So at that time, we wanted to provide an opportunity for the assistant instructor who really had the potential to be a good head instructor. We had the second program director. And when I was negotiating the lease for the second location, which was a potential location at the time, I actually had the leasing broker show up here at 5 o'clock at night. And I said, I brought him here for a reason. I said, you see all these people in here? And classes were packed. I mean, we were having 35 to 50 students in a class, every class back to back. And he said, yeah. I said, well, every one of those people is worth $207 to me a month, because that was our student value at the time. And no summer camp, no after school, just so we're clear, right? And so I said, so why would I move across town, have this big expense of building up a location, double my expenses, because now I have 2 locations, when I could just go enroll 50 more people, put them here, and that's an extra, $10,000 a month or $120,000 a year with no additional expenses. I don't need any more staff. I don't need anything else. And I was trying to paint the picture so I could negotiate, right? And what I ended up negotiating, and by the way, this was in a a shopping center, right? Beautiful location, the corner of a shopping center, a second location. We ended up getting, well, I asked for 24 free months is what I asked for, 2 years of free.
No, Tass, I lost you. Tass, are you there? Well, hopefully you guys can still hear me. Let's see. Stay with me, guys. Mr. Perry. Hold on, guys. Want to make sure that someone's still on. Am I on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on.
Yeah.
Tess?
You're good.
Okay. Well, no, they're saying talk about a cliffhanger. Oh, man, it was getting good, too. Yes. Did they lose Tess?
They did.
All right. Hold on. But I'm still on.
You're still on.
Hey, well, that's all that
No,
matters.
you're not.
No, I'm not. Do you need to refresh this?
Why don't we do the top left
Where do you go? Here? Here?
circle? Yeah.
Where is he? Where are we at? The suspense is killing me. Hang on, people. How we doing? Am I on? Can you guys hear me? All right, I'm good, sir. Okay. All right. Tass is trying to get back in. I can see him trying to get on. He's probably going to jump to his phone. Hold on, guys. Right here. All right. Remove. Okay, hold on. All right, we're going to get him back. I know the story, but I want him to tell his story. And then we're going to address a couple other things, pros and cons here of single or multiple. While we're waiting for him, while we're waiting for Tass to come on, I want to say this to everybody because there was another comment, and I'm just looking for it here. There was another comment that somebody had posted, and this is it's okay. This is not a right or a wrong, but I want to give perspective to this. And it was, depends why you teach, whether running a multiple schools or a single school, why or why not was the question, was the post. And there somebody had posted, depends why you teach karate. For example, if you're interested in making and selling a really good hamburger, you own one hamburger place. If you want to make a lot of money, you buy a McDonald's chain of stores. But my response to that post, and I'd love to get your opinions on this, is I said, well, with respect, I would ask this question, and this is a question for all of you, and I'd love to get your thoughts and be honest. You may not agree with me. But I said to the person who posted that, if your instructor offered you a great career opportunity to run a school for him or her, would your quality of what you are teaching be less because he owned the school and you did not? I said it's a lot of different perspectives, but I always like to understand the why behind the thought process of the different opinions. And so that's how you got to think. Every one of you on here that own a school, you had an instructor, you had a teacher. And just because you own the school, what does it matter who owns the school on whether or not the quality of martial arts is good or not? I would love to get your opinions on that. So if I happen to provide a great career opportunity, six-figure career opportunity for martial arts instructors that came up under me or that I found that were really qualified, great people, maybe they were school owners, but they just weren't making it because of the business systems, I could provide a retirement plan, I could provide a vacation package for them, and I have them run a school for me, and I have 30 locations. Why is the assumption? Oh, there you go. I don't know. Tass is playing with technology. Why is the assumption that quality is bad and it's a McDojo? And that's the question I have. And, everybody uses the term McDonald's. but does anyone have a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in their area? Would you consider Ruth's Chris a good steak or a good steakhouse with good service? You know, are there high-end restaurants that are in New York, Vegas, California that have great service, great food across the board? Why is it that in our industry, if you have multiple schools, that there is a big percentage of our industry that think that you are now a McDojo and not a Ruth's Chris dojo or a Michelin star restaurant dojo, or you can't have good quality? And I'd love to get, and Master Bolton says, and look, he says because they can't do it themselves. And I think that's the answer. But it's not that they can't. It's because they don't think they can. That's the problem. They don't know how to keep the quality high and keep systems tight to replicate the same quality. And then the question is can you impact more people if you have multiple schools? Can you spread your philosophy and your teachings if you had multiple schools? That's not a debate. The answer is, of course you can. Of course you can make a bigger impact with multiple schools. I'm not saying multiple schools is right for everybody. Don't get me wrong, but I'm arguing the point that just because one has multiple schools doesn't mean you can't have great quality. You will impact more people. By the way, you're going to impact people in a bigger way because you're going to be offering more careers and great opportunities for these students that became assistants, that became instructors, to be able to run a school for you. So we'll come back to that. But Tass, you left everyone on a cliffhanger. You're playing with buttons. You're messing around. This is a serious show. It's time to get serious.
This is why you don't own multiplications, because you can't afford the power bill, so they shut your power off.
Right. But you
so literally,
Elon Musk and you're back.
The entire power of the mall just like literally flicked on and back off and waiting for internet service to come back on. So anyway, my apologies. I don't know where I cut, but I think it was.
Well, you were talking about, you asked for 24 free months.
Right.
Because you were negotiating, and let me just catch everyone up. He was negotiating with another landlord. He brought that landlord or leasing agent to his main location, had 35, 40 people on the floor, said every one of those people are worth $207 to me. Why would I go across town and open up? I don't need to. I could just get 50 more students here and make another, 120 grand a year, here with I don't need any more staff. And he used that as leverage to negotiate. You asked for 24 free months in rent.
But this is also why you're not in a hurry, guys. I mean, you shouldn't be in a hurry to open a second location, right? But because if you can afford the have the leverage and wait, you can play your cards. And yes, it would have been great, but I also was ready to walk away from it. That was a big negotiating lesson for me as well. So the guy called back and about 20 minutes after he left, and he said, "Hey, got some great news." He goes, "I got you 12 months free." I said, "Well, that's not great news, sir. I asked for 24. He goes, "Shane, they're never going to give you 24 months. I said, "Okay, no problem, man." I said, like I said, that I'm fine over here in my little corner of the world. I'll just enroll 50 more students. I said, it'd be nice to go over there, but absolutely don't need to. It's like, all right. So he hangs up, calls me back about 2 hours later. He goes, "I have no idea why they agreed to this, but they're going to give you the 24 months of free rent." So we got 24 months free, but then I forgot we had it written in when we had the lease written, we had it written because there was build out that needed to happen, that our lease didn't start until 90 days after the build out was complete. So we actually ended up with 27 months free. And that was a total of a 6-year term over there. So out of the 6 years, we're paying rent for whatever that comes to, 3.75 years or something. So was a great position to be in, right? But then Metzger told me this. He says, remember, you think you're ready to open a second location. And I'm just going to call this out. If you were to lose 2 key staff members in the next 6 months, will you be okay? Well, the answer was I would be okay. I don't know if I would like it because I'd be back on the floor in one location, have to put somebody in another school, but I would be okay. Well, Metzger has this way of saying things, and then they happen. And then 6 to 12 months later, we lost 2 of our key staff members, right? And so had we not been prepared for that, it could have been very devastating. And of course, there's turnover in every business. But I think there's some things we don't all think about all the time, and we assume everybody out there is going to be with us forever. And that could change tomorrow. I mean, we've seen it happen over and over. And these are the reasons why he's so cautious about having people go into a second location. And we see this in the industry. Everyone's looking for instructors because they're the hardest people to replace in your school. You need a great instructor. You need great program directors. And we always talk about leadership team. And if you don't have a leadership team, it's going to be very hard. You're not developing future instructors on purpose. You're developing them by mistake, right? They're a byproduct of your training. But if you go in with the intent on, I'm going to have this leadership program, and over the course of time, these people are going to start to grow up in the business, and you have 20, 30, 40, 50 people that have done leadership over 3, 4, 5 years, and now they're teens, and as they get older, you're going to have some of those people that are going to become on as instructors in your school. So very, very, very important.
And by the way, Stephen Jackson says, so can I hire you for negotiating? I guess at least. And the answer is,
you already have.
Yeah. In the elite program, we will definitely negotiate a lease for you.
We're going to McClung right now, and he got the majority of what he asked for the first time around. So.
And I've done this so many times for people. I'll give them the knowledge and the arsenal to go back and counter. And if I feel they're not communicating it right, I just ask for the number and I call them myself. And we'll help you out.
Yeah. You downplay it. You're like, I mean, Metzger is usually pretty braggy on himself, but today he's not doing that. I mean, this guy.
What are you talking about?
Who would you like to negotiate your lease, right? You think, well, Metzger's got his 7 locations, so he's had to do this at least 7 times. But what you may not remember, or you may forget, is, I mean, I won't say the number, but they're landlords, and so they have all kinds of tenants. So they've been on the other side of this and know what a landlord would be willing to do and give to a new tenant as well. So I just think it's an unbelievable opportunity to have someone who's on both sides of it, and not just dabbling. By the way, I mean, they're crushing it in real estate.
But unfortunately, I don't consult clients anymore, so Tass can take care of you or one of the other consultants. Kidding. I'm always happy to help. As a matter of fact, Mr. Kim, he reached out to me on Facebook this morning or last night or this morning. Can't keep track. And we had a talk today. So anyway, so listen, it's absolutely okay to run one location. The problem that happens, and Tass, I loved what you said. I love the saying of, about training and instructors is an accident. It's a byproduct of great instruction. And then, what do you do? Like, what would all of you do if 3 of your black belts, adult black belts that you've brazed from whatever, walked in today and just said, I'm burnt out of my job. I love the martial arts. And sir, you've changed my life, or ma'am, you've changed my life. I'd love to have an opportunity. I'd love to make this my career. Can you hire those 3 people right now? And for the majority of you, the answer is going to be no, right? You're not going to be able to because you can't afford it, or you wouldn't know what to do with 3 more people in your one location. Now, Tass, let's talk about this, because this is another thing. People say, man, one school is stressful. I can't imagine 2 or even 3. And I've told you, running 10 locations is a tremendously less stressful position to be in than running 1, 2, or 3. And how does that make sense? How would you explain it? Because you've seen it. You're running 2 schools. You see me running multiple schools, 10 schools and then selling and expanding right now. How do you explain that to everybody?
I don't know the exact saying, so don't comment and tell me I'm wrong about this. But the Clydesdale horse by itself carries like 6,000 pounds, whatever it is, right? But when you put 2 Clydesdales together, they don't carry 12,000. They carry like 24,000. And the number goes up exponentially as you add a Clydesdale horse in. So the point of me saying that is that when you have more locations, you have more horsepower, you have a bigger team. And because you have a bigger team and you are impacting the community, and you can generate instructors from a bigger pool, those things can get to be easier. And by the way, the revenue that comes from those can be used to pull some of that team up to oversee those other schools, which therefore takes the pressure off of the owner to have to constantly be doing all those things, because there's a go-to person in between the owner and all of the people that are at the school level, right? And oftentimes as an owner, and I can speak from, and this is me speaking for me, but as an owner sometimes, and this part of it's because of consulting, right? I say the same thing to clients every day. And so I assume sometimes my team knows it by osmosis or just by hearing me talk about it every day to clients. And so sometimes we get short and we just, our expectations. It's like, would you really put a 7th degree black belt to go teach a 7-year-old brand new white belt? I think it's overkill. I don't think it needs to happen. And by the way, I don't think they can relate as good as the person who is maybe a 1st degree black belt that just 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago, they were a white belt. They may be able to relate to that white belt better than you can, because you're past that.
And careful, people are going to take you literal here. 3 years ago, they were a white belt. Now they're a 1st degree black belt. Just be careful.
That's if they're on the long road. I mean, if we fast track them, we usually can get them there in about 6.
That's right. You got to be careful here with these folks.
Oh, it's all good.
Well, that's what I mean. Hey, 3 years for a black belt.
Haters are going to hate, man. I love it. It's all right. I was always told, right? If you don't have haters, you're not trying. So I'm
just
trying.
For the record, took me 8.5 years to get my black belt. And by the way, it took me 25 years to get my purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So I take my time. So anybody that's just fast tracking belts.
That's right.
So anyway.
He didn't want to pay the testing fee, guys. That's all that was.
Right. I just waited until they finally just gave it to me.
That's right. That's right.
That's correct.
Oh, that's funny.
But the thing is it is harder. I think it's easier today with the systems we have compared to what it was when I did this back in 2001. I went from 1 to 3 schools. The story I tell you is the truth. I had 3 high-level guys, and I had to open up 2 more locations quickly so I can give them the opportunity, or I was going to lose them. And by the way, maybe not even lose them to another martial arts school or them opening a school. Just lose them into the real world of other opportunities, which who knows where their lives would be, right?
I always tell you. And so he's telling you about the high-level guys that he has. And I always tell him, just so you guys understand, I'm like, Metz, you don't get it. You're spoiled. You have these high-level guys. So when he says that, I mean, he absolutely does. They're high-level martial artists and great instructors and great people.
And great people and just have done a unbelievable job. And here's the other thing I want everyone to think about, whether you're a single school owner or not. Don't let your philosophies and your art die with you. Don't let that happen, right? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with if your plan is I want to build up my staff or my students. I want to build them up so someday they can go open their own school. That's fine. The thing that I want to make sure that you understand is, and Tass, again, I'm trying to paint a picture for motivation for these people. You know my guys, especially the executive team, and it's not the 3, it's the 4. It's 4 of them now, right? Yeah. Stephanie, Obeda, Eric, Peterman, right? 4. They financially do better than, would you say, 95 or higher % of school owners in the country?
Of school owners.
Right.
Yes.
School owners.
Yeah.
And so my point is not only that, but how many of you as school owners that don't have any military or any other job you retired from have a great insurance plan, have a great retirement where you're saving money for retirement, have vacation to where you can take 4 weeks a year and enjoy it with your family, knowing that your school is not running or your business is not running, but growing and producing? Well, this is the opportunity we like to offer our people. And by the way, I couldn't do it without these people. And not just those 4 guys. I couldn't do it without all of my team, all of them. But it's not lucky, right? When Tass says you don't know how lucky you are, what you got to remember is it took 30 years to have.
I didn't say lucky. I said spoiled.
Spoiled. Okay. Spoiled. That's true. And I am lucky. I am lucky and I'm spoiled. However, we found a way to help you not make this happen by accident, right, and just help you guys. And again, whether you want to run one school or you want to run multiple schools, there's no right or wrong answer on that. But just have the option and don't do it because of your assumptions. Well, I can't run multiple schools because your quality is going to suck. Or I can't run multiple schools because it's too much of a headache. Not if you do it right. And quality doesn't have to be bad. So, but I don't want to run multiple schools because I just love doing this and, till I retire. But the thing that I was going to say, Tass, and you know this too, is when you give people an opportunity, including you listening, whether your title is owner, instructor, program director, manager, how long do you want to continue working until 9 o'clock at night? Every night. How long, right? Well, I just believe that I didn't want to do that. So I just believe that none of my guys ever wanted to do that. That's why these people that ran schools are now, their title is directors of operations. And Mr. Nick Peterman's our chief director of operations. And they oversee now. We do more staff training than most of you guys do in your
in a month than most people do in a year.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we're just, that's their job. They're constantly training. I meet with them. They make sure we are on task, that the quality is staying high, that the instructors are physically training, getting business systems training. You tune into some of these things. I mean, you saw some of the instructor stuff. So my point is, you can make the decision. Just don't make the decision because of a specific belief of it can't be done, or quality's bad, or you're a McDojo, or you're just chasing money. It's not chasing money. It's keeping your people and giving them great opportunity.
Yeah, man. It's one of these things, I think too, when people go to multiple schools, especially if you're an owner operator and you have a little bit of a team, the thing is you think that you're going to spend Monday, Wednesdays at one school, Tuesday, Thursdays are the other, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you're going to split your time. And then to try and do that, go to 2 to 3 schools, there's no more of you to split. I mean, so sometimes you can get away with that, but I would go on a limb and say this: most times, for most people that don't know how to do this, and they go from one location, they go to the second location, the main location drops. There's a period of time that the main location drops before it comes back up again. Because when you're present, if you don't have the right systems in place, a lot of times the instructor is the charisma, right? They're the reason why the school is so successful. So if they remove themselves or put somebody else in a different location, things can start to drop a little bit. Or if you've had that power team that's been together 4 or 5 people, and now you pull half of that power team, put them at the new location, that main location can drop a little bit. And so those are all, and not that it's a bad thing, but you just have to be prepared for those things. And sometimes we think, well, the main location is going to keep doing great, and our second location, we'll get that up in no time. And certainly that can happen when you have the right systems in place. I know we've got some people watching that are crushing their second location right now, and that's awesome. It's because you have the right systems in place. And I think for me, that's the real answer. Is your main business, number one, maximizing revenue, maximizing profitability, if we're talking about owners, and do you have the right business systems, and do you have bench strength? If you got all those on your checklist, then the last thing I would tell you is this, and Metzger wrote a big article about this years ago, but do you have the temperament for multiple locations? Because you can have all the other things, but if you don't have the temperament, you won't have multiple locations for long. It's not easy.
It's true. Because some of you, well, in our industry specifically, we're control freaks, right? So you look at somebody that you brought up, and maybe they're not delivering the message exactly the way you would deliver the message. Maybe the outcome is going to be the same. They just have a different way of getting there because we're all different. We have different philosophies, but they were your students, right? I'm trying to think right now, every chief instructor we have at a school came up under us. They weren't from the outside. Trying to think. There's not one. I don't think there's one as I go through my brain. Anyway.
Not that you haven't had outside instructors.
Oh, no. We've definitely had outside, but currently the chiefs that run the school, and we have assistants or senior instructors that have come from the outside that are still training under a chief and learning our culture and our system before we would ever just take them and put them into a position like that. But as it stands right now, the chiefs, are homegrown, right? So it is. The temperament thing is real. Like, can you do it? Now let me answer this question, Mr. Hamby. How do your high-level people get to continue to learn and train when they go to these full-time instruction positions? Well, Tass, you may know our schedule better than me. I know Wednesday is like business systems, teaching strategies is Thursday. Every Friday is physical training, where they're doing a physical training and workout and teaching. I also bring in special guests to train and do things for our guys. As a matter of fact, Chael Sonnen, who's been a friend of mine for well over probably 12, 13, 14 years now, he put me in touch with Rashad Evans because Rashad Evans from the UFC is in South Florida. Got on the phone with him. I want to bring him up, have him do a 2-hour training with my guys. A lot of my guys train at even some other, like one does Muay Thai, a couple of them actually do Muay Thai at one of the schools that we're very close with. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with one of the schools we're close with. I did it this morning. I do it every day. So my guys are constantly training. And to give you an idea, and I feel like I got to defend it a little bit because I know there's people that don't believe how high level, but even Mr. Obeda Benwali, he started with me when he was like 10 years old, 11 years old. He's one of these directors of operations. Well, he's so good at what he does. He actually was part of Tyron Woodley's training camp when Tyron was getting ready to fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who I have all the respect in the world for, but they have a similar body style, similar speed, similar way of fighting, and they wanted to fly. So Benwali flew
to Wisconsin,
to Rufus, right? Yeah. And was part of that training camp and sparring partner for Tyron Woodley when he was defending the belt back then. So my guys, they train all the time, and it's required, by the way. The thing is, and you know this too, having all these locations, I go to the black belt tests, and, I'll go to a black belt test twice a year and I'll see these students. Well, it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago that I went to a black belt test and I stopped the test in the middle of the test, got all the instructors in a huddle. And I said, I don't like what I'm seeing. I do not like the quality of these students right now. And I know we could be better. And I said, I don't care if you're making $100,000 a month in your school. Do not let students get to this part unless they're better. We got to be better than this. They got to be better. And by the way, maybe to some people, they look fine, but I'm a stickler on quality. So that's another thing, though, that you could have your cake and eat it too. I say that all the time. It's not, if you do this, you can't have that. It's not that way. It's all about choice and how you run your facility. So that's what I would say.
Well, there's just things, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know on the floor, instructor systems, right? And how to teach. And I say this like cautiously, but a lot of us, when we get into this business, we carry the baggage from whatever we did, right? And even still, right? I know Metzger can go through his warm-up that he did when he was 11 years old. I mean, he knows exactly the warm-up because they did it the same way every single class, right? And sometimes we carry that forward with us. And by the way, things evolve. And so that may not be the best way to do warm-ups anymore, as an example, right? With things that we've learned over time. But we teach the way we were taught instead of going out and exploring other things that we can do to make classes fun, make classes for me weren't, back in the day, they had the shinai, right? The bamboo, 4 slats of bamboo shinai. And I was in guarding stance. I'll never forget. I was left side guarding stance. My instructor was behind me. He was correcting somebody. I turned my head. I was like 10 years old. He took that wood shinai, hit me on top of the head, hit me in the leg and told me to drop and do 50 push-ups. I was like 10 years old. I'm like, yes, sir. And I never dreamt of telling my parents. That would get you a lawsuit today. So things are different, right? And things evolve over time. And I think it's important that we understand the systems on the floor. We have to understand the business systems and marry those two things together. And I would tell you, there's two schools of thought on this. Number one, don't be an information junkie. Don't just go see all this stuff. Like, watch it, find out what works for you, take it, go implement, and do that in the martial arts side of things. Metzger and I don't talk a lot about the floor specifically. I mean, we can if you want to, right? But in fact, when I was down there last time, we team taught one of the classes at one of the schools down there. So we absolutely can help you guys with floor stuff. But Maya is the business side of things, right? So that's what you hear us talk about most often. So I see a lot of familiar people that are on here, a lot of familiar people on other things. And I will just tell you guys, the main thing, keep taking, keep executing. Take, execute. Because the take doesn't work if you don't execute. And you will go far when you execute.
By the way, here, I'm putting this in the chat box because we believe in it. I think it went in the chat box.
This is not Zoom. This is Facebook. So you made a comment.
Oh,
not a chat box.
Oh, whatever that is. There's a gray box with a blinking cursor. But I put this link up there. Listen, this is 4 Zoom calls, and I really believe it can help every one of you on here. It's 4 Zoom calls over 2 months. We do a call, 2 weeks later, we do a call, 2 weeks later, we do a call, 2 weeks later, do a call. And all we do is cover 4 things. And then if you want to repeat it, you can repeat it at no cost. I said this last week. You could do it for free afterwards because we want to make sure that you get it or understand the philosophy or the concepts of why we do what we do and why it will help your revenue instantly in your school. But it's a foundation. We believe there's 4 things you got to build your school on. And then you could work on stacking, staff development and training. But there's 4 things, the foundation. Your class schedule. That scares people. They're like, what do you mean my class schedule? I'm not going to change my class schedule. We know how to do it without disrupting your people, but we'll explain to you why there's a way to do a schedule better. So class schedule, pricing structure, upgrades, which is another scary thing for people because you don't understand our definition of upgrades, and mass enrollments. 4 things, 4 calls. If you try out the program, you do it and you want to get it again, you want to hear it again, you just repeat the program. You don't pay again. You just repeat the program and it's live. It's not a recording. And it starts on Wednesday, right, Tass? Wednesday at 2 Eastern time?
That's right. And they're all recorded, but so you can always go back and watch them, number one. Number 2, if you want to repeat the course live and ask questions again, you can do that as well.
And by the way, I will be available Wednesday. So I'm in Wednesday.
All right, perfect.
So next week is spring break here in Orlando. The kids are off, but I told my wife, leave Wednesday because I got to be there for the foundations people. It's the first repeat. It's the first call of the repeat session. So would love to see you guys get on there.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
It is because I know it would help.
By the way, Metzger said something. I'm going to clean up a little because he's getting soft, man. He said, I believe this will help all of you, right? There's no belief. Like, it will. It absolutely will. There's no question. And how can I say that, right? Well, I've worked with over 100 martial arts school owners, one-on-one coaching. And, it's not a question of if it will work. It absolutely does work in any place, anywhere. I remember sending Mr. Metzger a text one time. I asked him to proofread if you remember this, Metz, I asked you to proofread the pricing sheet. It was all in Hebrew.
Yes, it
had shekels, right? So it doesn't matter where you're from. It works, everybody. It works.
Hey, I just want to make sure I'm confirming. Yeah, Wednesday the 17th at 2 Eastern time is the next foundation. And then we have another free thing, Zoom training. That's free. Look, I just hope 100% of you start believing that we really want to help this industry. We want to help the industry. So take advantage of it. Get on there. Hello, Mr. Thompson. And remind me again, what are the fees for these 4 seminars?
Well, the investment
The investment is it's $397 for the first month, $397. The second month, you can repeat it to get it again if you want, as many times as you want. But I believe, and I do not know this, I think there's a coupon potentially, or you can call Maya directly because I just don't know. I think you could get, if you do it now or today, I don't know, $100 off. So it'd be $297 and $297, 2 payments of $297 if you get that $100 off. But you're going to get all the materials too. We're not just going to cover this. We're going to give you a Google Drive with all the materials so you can use them. All the mass enrollment stuff you're going to need, editable, class schedule, samples, so you can see it in a template if you wanted to tweak it once you learn about that.
And I'll just say it, Metz, we could do the first call and be done, and you will have gotten your value for, 100 times over. All
right, let's say test. Honestly, let's say it's $397 times 2. So let's call it $800.
Yeah.
The first call, will they make $800 before the end of the 8 weeks?
Yes. Go make more
from the first call.
That's it.
So anyway, guys, love having you. We're not going to be here next Thursday because, as I said, it is spring break. Got to do some family time, and I already said Wednesday I got to be around because I want to come into work and get on the foundations call. So what is this? I over tripled first month gross after implementing foundation info. Great job. Super job.
Oh, Mr. Lawrence.
Yeah. We want to help the rest of you. And by the way, if you're nervous or you're scared or you're looking at it as a big expense, we understand that too. Send a private message to us and we will, talk you through some things. It's, whatever. Today, if you were a student at Tassoul's, he wouldn't hit you with the sword or anything. He would offer you a discount on it if you wanted to purchase it.
That's right.
All right. So anything else, Tass, before we leave these fine folks?
No, man, I just think everybody get excited because there is a wave of opportunity that's already started in parts of the nation. It's going to continue to come forward. We have to ride the wave, but you need to be prepared for the wave. And if you've been waiting because you've been stressed out with COVID and all the things that have been happening, and you haven't taken the time behind the scenes while business was down potentially to get your business systems in order, well, now is the time to do that, because when your business systems are broken, every person that you inject into your school is going to spit out a certain student value. And when you fix that broken system, everybody that comes in, now you're maximizing the revenue that comes out of them, not from nickel and diming them, but from a business system that is very transparent, very, very simple to implement it and simple to do. And so I just don't know why we wouldn't want to do that, where I say, hey, I need to enroll 50 more students. Well, do you really need to enroll 50 if they're spitting out $100 student value? Or what if they're spitting out $185 student value? Do I need 50 or could I get 35? Or if I get the 50, it's an extra $85 a student. That's unbelievable. And it's just about how things are set up in your school. And we're excited to help people. I'm excited. Sometimes it takes, like I said earlier in the call, it takes things to happen in life to sometimes get unstuck, and just very motivated right now to move forward and build the dream team and see where that takes us. So let's go get it, everybody. Let's have some fun.
And by the way, Mr. Costa said, isn't that Shane's birthday, the 17th?
That's it. It absolutely is.
So come spend it with Mr. Tassoul.
That's right. That's right. I'll have a little donate button on there too to my GoFundMe page.
Of course. But he's the one giving you a birthday present that day.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, well, Tass, I wish I could say it's always a pleasure.
I know.
It's not always.
Did Perry walk in? I know. That's the problem.
That's exactly right. I can't see because I got this spotlight in my freaking eyes. I love playing with their new lights.
Oh, funny, man. Too funny.
Anyway, well, all right, man.
All right, team. Well, listen, Metz, we'll talk sooner than later, I'm sure. And if you guys need anything, we're here. Let us know.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see everybody 2 weeks from today, unless you jump on Foundations. We'll see you next Wednesday. Again, the link is in the comments, mayafoundations.com. There it is. If you want to just check it out, read about it. If you have questions, PM us, call Century, call Maya. I say Century, the team in Oklahoma. So thanks, guys. Have a great one. Tass, we'll talk to you shortly.
All right, guys. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, guys.